The question is, did the US government fake 6 manned moon landings? In 1945, the United States began smuggling Nazi scientists out of Germany, including SS officer Werner von Braun, as part of Operation Paperclip. A French resistance fighter, Guy Morand, testified to von Braun's brutality as he recalled being flogged by the SS officer. Another French prisoner, Robert Cazabon, testified that von Braun stood aside as prisoners were hung from chains. Once in America, von Braun was promoted to director of the Marshall Space Center in Huntsville, Alabama, where he headed up the Apollo Applications Program. Is it possible that von Braun, as an SS officer, could be threatened and coerced to say or do anything that the American government asked of him? For instance, if the government gave him an ultimatum such as, lie about the moon missions or be turned over to the Israeli government for war crimes. Let us also examine the credibility of President Richard Nixon. All alleged manned moon landings would have taken place under his administration. Evidence of Nixon's rampant dishonesty includes Watergate, the smoking gun tapes, accessory to felony breaking and entering, accessory to felony burglary, the Cambodian civilian bombing cover-up, the My Lai massacre, and Nixon's resignation facing certain impeachment. Furthermore, the alleged lunar landings would have taken place during the height of the Cold War and the space race. It was during the Cold War that the KGB went so far as to film a fake UFO crash and leak the tapes, as seen in this photo. What might the US government falsify? Both America and the Soviet Union had a lot riding on technological advancement and the perception of superiority. The Cold War presents a powerful motive to fake manned lunar landings. Many documentaries supporting the manned moon mission theory rely on physical evidence that NASA claims is still located on the moon. Some of these claims include a laser reflector and a US flag. Assuming these items are actually on the moon, they could have been placed there by a remote rover or spacecraft. They would in no way be proof that a man walked on the moon and should be disregarded in such an argument. Supposedly, the Russians sent this unmanned drone called Lunokhod 1 to the moon in 1970. It is important to keep in mind that all manned space missions since the alleged Apollo missions were within low Earth orbit, rather than the 225,622-mile distance to the moon. Satellites are located within this lower realm, as are all shuttle missions, and even the space station. Next, we have the mystery of the Apollo 11 missing videotapes. In 2009, NASA claimed the original tapes of the alleged first men on the moon were accidentally erased. Remember that if real, this journey would have been the greatest achievement in human history. Witness the care given to documents in the National Archive. Ask yourself, do you really believe the US government would accidentally erase tapes, proving man's greatest achievement? NASA has since come out with a press release that they found a different set of missing tapes, which were previous conversions of the originals. However, they still haven't found the originals. This particular news story was released strategically as to confuse the public into believing that the originals had in fact been found. They have not been found. Why would NASA do this? Here we see 3 men who supposedly first landed on the moon. Their names are Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Aldrin. In 1969, these astronauts visited the Netherlands and presented a quote-unquote moon rock to former Prime Minister Willem Drees. In 2009, the moon rock was studied by curators at the Dutch National Museum. They were shocked to discover that the supposed moon rock is actually petrified wood. NASA said it has no explanation and no additional comments on the subject. This is a smoking gun of lunar proportions. I'd love to believe that America put men on the moon, but the evidence and circumstances don't stand up to scrutiny. We have made some amazing technological advances since the 60s, including many within the space program. Grandiose lies and false achievements are no longer needed to bolster America's position in the world. I would therefore ask the US government and NASA to refrain from their past defensive tactics and reveal the truth.